before you remove this, there's a lever right there. Move it over like so. And there's a drain tube down there that'll drain it. But you better have a pretty good sized pan, because if not, it'll make a big mess. I didn't have that much in there, so I didn't care, because I've been taking this off about 5 times already. Now I gotta take it off again. What the hell? Okay. Now after you've done that, I'm just gonna make a completely separate video for the fuel pump. After you do that, these here are 9/16. This is removing the fuel filter, fuel bowl. It said 6 connections. You got 6 connections. That one down there is a hose. It's the drain hose. That's 1. These 2 here, that's 3. This is the return fuel line. I've already pulled it out once, so that's why they're lined up. You're gonna need either a long screwdriver or a 5.5 millimeter to get them damn things off, unless it's been changed before. Down there, that first one you see with the little blue hose, that is the line from the fuel pump to the fuel bowl. And the next one down from that, at the very bottom, that's from the fuel bowl to the high pressure pump. Okay. You see that bolt right there? I can't remember what it is, but I'll tell you in a minute. It's in my other video, but right now I'm making a different one just because I left a bunch of stuff out. That bolt and that bolt there are the only things that hold that fuel bowl in. And there's that line I was showing you that goes to it. And they're all nice facing upward because I've already taken it off before. Okay. And that there is the mechanical fuel pump that we're pulling out. You're going to disconnect those 2 lines there. Of course, you're going to do one anyway. But that one there comes from the fuel tank to the top low pressure part of the fuel pump. And that nut back there, I can't remember what it is. I'm going to try not to have to remove this turbo to get it. I'm hoping not. I mean, if nothing else, I'll just have to loosen it up and raise it a little. But I'm hoping not have to remove it. On the other ones, you have to. The 95, it all depends on if you can get to it or not. That nut there, or bolt. And there's another bolt. That's underneath that hose there. That's caddy corner from that one, and it pulls it out. I'll let you know what they are when I get to them, because I don't remember offhand. Those bolts down there I was telling you about, those are 13 millimeters. And it's just the 2 of them. You're going to need an extension. I got an air ratchet, so I'm going to use it. Alright, now that you see I got the bolt loose, you're going to need a telescope magnet to reach down there and get it. Unless your socket set has a magnet on it. Keep track of everything you pull off. Okay, now that you got all that out and you got all your hoses, all 6 of your connections, we'll go over them again. Those are 2, that one and that one. That's 3. 4, 5, and then the drain is 6. Okay, they're all disconnected. You're gonna have to manhandle this to get it out. That one's gonna have to come out first. And that one down there, it's gotta come out second. And then your drain. And you have to put them back in the exact same way. Your drain and the one that goes to the high pressure down there, gotta go in at the exact same time when you put it back in. I can't show you it doing it because it's a pain in the ass. And then this one here will go in after that with this one. Those two will go in about the same time. All right, now that you got the fuel bowl out, on some models have the pressure valve that you got to disconnect. This one doesn't, it's mechanical. And those are the two heater things for that heater that's inside the bowl. You got to disconnect that. One was already disconnected, and then you disconnect that one. And you pick it up and you set it over here out of the way. That wiring harness, that's right there, that goes through it. And there's only one way to get it off. It's either, well, actually two. Cut it or pull all them damn pins out and redo them. I don't need to mess with it, so I'm not messing with it. But I did find something loose. That there was broke, so that might have been my problem too. But anyway, now you can see why you couldn't get the other hose. And yes, I know that ain't the right hose that's going on there. That's just what we used for testing when we pulled it out the other 3 times. And there is your fuel pump. And there's that other bolt I told you about to get to it. A little side note, since you got the damn thing off, make sure your RPR valve is good because it goes to your oil pump, your high pressure oil pump that's right there. And that's your IPC thing. I done changed all that, that's why I know what it is. And also while you got it out, this one has 200,000 miles, but the guy don't want to spend the money on it. But what I would rebuild this since it's already out and replace all those little tubes right there, all the little hoses. Make sure you got the little kit for them to replace them because you already got it out. And if you got 200,000 miles on it, they'll be cracked anyway. So that's what I would do since you're going through the trouble to get to this. All right, we're gonna have a serious talk for a second before we pull that fuel pump out. These are the hoses I was telling you about. They're $20 on Amazon. That one is the fuel line from the tank to the fuel pump. That's from the fuel pump to the canister, to the fuel bowl. The littlest one right there, that goes from the canister to the high pressure side of the fuel pump. That's for the tank return, from the return line on the fuel tank to the pressure bowl. And this is your drain for the fuel bowl. That right there is the return line from the fuel rail to the canister. Okay. Now let's get back to the fuel pump. There's a video that explains how it works. Since you're working on it now, I'll explain to you how it works. This is how the fuel pump works. This goes from the fuel tank line into the low pressure side of the fuel pump. This low pressure side fills the canister up and it holds it. If the canister is draining, then it's probably your fuel pump is bad. Goes from the low pressure side down to this spot here. This goes into the high pressure side of the fuel pump, and this goes into that nut I showed you that you got to take off. And then it goes from there out through the fuel rails up into those low pressure I'll say it in a minute, to the return lines that I just showed you. Okay. This is important to know. This comes out easily. Push it back in, and it stays with this one. It's metal too. Not just it's steel. You're going to need a high power magnet. Once you get those two bolts off, take your high power magnet, put it on your fuel pump like so. Like so. And then you're going to take this, it's going to hold this so you don't drop it in your motor. If you drop this in your motor off the new one, you got to pull the oil pan to get to it. And it is a motherfucker. Trust me, it is. So that there will help hold it long enough for you to get it out. And like I said, it's 13 millimeter. Or not 13 millimeter, it's the bolts for that is 10 millimeter. Now onward and forward. All right, so now we're taking off that nut. That nut there is 1.25 inches. Huh? And it works. What you're going to need to do is take that wrench and a hammer, not too hard now, but just enough to tap on it, to loosen it up. The righty-tighty, lefty-loosey works, but you got to remember, it's backwards. So you want to go that way with it. That'll loosen it. This way tightens it. You do loosen it with this. Then you have to flip to this side because it's got the curve, and do that about 4 times before you can loosen the rest way by hand. And so far, I ain't got to pull the turbo off. But we'll see when I go to put the damn thing back on if I got to move the turbo. Common sense, but not everybody thinks that way. When you're taking that nut off, make sure you leave the fuel pump bolted to the motor, or you're going to have a hell of a time trying to get it off. This is what that nut looks like. And this is how it all works. Pretty cool. Make sure you put up with the rest of your stuff. Oh hell, I didn't think that would be steel. I figured it had to be brass or some shit. Hey, better. Now that I got the nut off, disconnect those 2 bolts there and do like I say with the magnet, and it should be good. But you better make sure you got them damn hoses. All right. Move this out the damn way. There's a clip right here that holds the fuel line. You might want to undo it. It's a 10 millimeter. It'll make it a lot easier to get the fuel pump out. That bolt over there requires an extension and a U-joint to get it off because you got the turbo in the way. So again, I'm still trying not to take the turbo apart. If you end up having to take the turbo apart, then you don't need all that. See, this is the old one, and I told you, you have the magnet on there, you'll be able to pull it right out. This whole thing is steel. Except for this bottom piece right here. That right there. It's got a little bit of magnet to it. It's supposed to be stainless, but they didn't put enough chromium in it to make it good. So, like I told you, bam, not a problem. You just jimmied a little bit. What I did do was I used a ratchet instead of an air ratchet, take them bolts out. And I just stuck it right there just like that. Put it on top like that and made sure they was magnetic going through it. Simple. All right, now the fun part is putting the other one back in. When I told you I didn't know what the hell this was for, what those rings were for, I know what they're for now because I got the pump out. This is the old one. It's the gasket for that nut. The 1.25 inch nut that screws into the pump. And the fuel, the high pressure fuel line right here. And it just screws in. And this goes on this side of that pressure, that high pressure line. And then this just goes together. But I have a sneaky suspicion that there should be 2 of them for some reason. And I only found one. Now that I got everything out, I did some inspection and some check-in and yada yada. And this little ring, it's a gasket. Should have came out with the nut. There's supposed to be 2 of them. One on this side of that fuel line. Down there where you took the nut from. And then there should be one on the fuel pump side. Well, needless to say, mine didn't have one on the fuel pump side for whatever reason. And that kit I bought, that I told you about, that was replacing the hoses for the fuel bowl, it comes with 2 of them. So I mean, I'm just going to put the new ones back since I already got the damn fuel pump off. But I would take and order the little kit because you're pulling this off anyway, and just replace it. So yeah, I figured out what it was. All right, before you put the fuel pump in, you gotta make sure both sides of this is clean, no debris or nothing, because those 2 aluminum gaskets, one goes here and one goes there. That's them right there. All right. This is just something I did. Not many other people had to do it, I guess. When you take this off, get down there, that bad boy's under pressure a little bit because the cam is up. I tried to turn the motor over just a little to move the location of the cam hump, and it didn't work. So what I did was took 2 ratchets, make sure they both were evenly snug, and then I ratcheted them down at the same time. Do you have to do it? I don't want to take no chance of busting that cast iron because I know the other pump's bad, so I didn't want to mess this one up because then I have to send it back or buy another one, and nah, it was easier to do this, to snug it down that way because it's under pressure anyway. And what I mean by under pressure is this will push down. I don't know if I can push it. Tip nothing over. Yeah, you do this. Because I could do it with my hand, you just can't see it. there. All right. Hopefully I can do this. See how much pressure it has? That's why I did it the way I did it. Do you have to do it that way? I don't know, but I wasn't taking a chance because I do have enough strength with the ratchet that long that I can break it. So that's what I did up until this point. And in the other videos, everybody takes that off. And as you can see, I didn't have to. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more things to deal with. Would it made it easier? I don't know. I've done taking all this stuff apart so many damn times already. It just in and out, in and out. I mean, it don't take me no time to do it. So, I mean, it's your call if you want to or not. That's another 10 minutes. Was it hard to push it back? Nah, I mean, either way. Onward and forward. Now you can see the 2 washers on there. You're gonna have to fish it on there with a pair of needle nose and a long screwdriver. And just kind of hold it and push it. And then push that nut back there, the bolt back, and thread it on there. Then screw it on. All right. To get that nut back on, I had used a long pair of tweezers on a 12.25" instead of a 6. It's got 12 little spots. You do as far as you can by hand. You gotta use a screwdriver. You gotta use a small screwdriver and lever on that. If you can see it. Screwdriver, lever, the actual where the bolt goes. And then you gotta push that up. Come on. You gotta push the fuel line up, where the screwdriver is. You gotta push that up and screw it in by hand, as far as you can get it. And then you tighten it with the wrench as far as you can get it. And then use them for a little bit, because it'll still go a little bit more. And then once you got it almost to the end where it won't turn, use those needle nose to align it to where you can use that and do the last 2 or 3 turns, but don't break it. Alright. Now you see I got the pump in, I got that in. You go back, change all the hoses. Then you set it, you got everything. That way, got that one facing up. And you notice the directions I got all them facing. Makes it easier to get to that way. That's all locked up. I want the luck. Just to make sure that you close that line. And see, I still don't have to pull the damn turbo off. Alright, thanks for stopping by. And this is how to pull a fuel pump in a 95 F350.